Okay, so welcome back to our living room conversations. I'm Dr. Valerie Small, and this is Bonnie Harrison, expert psychotherapist, life coach, and trainer. And we promised you last week that we were going to come into your living room, into your home, and discuss with you when love goes wrong. When love goes wrong. And Bonnie, I've been thinking about that over the course of the past week because I've been having conversations with individuals about, is it possible that love does go wrong? And in the conversation, what came up, what I thought, I asked them, what do you think contributes to that? Is it that is there jealousy somewhere? Is it possible that there's one partner is probably exercising to the degree of control over the other person? And what actually is happening, Bonnie? And could you share with us, do you believe that love can go wrong? Do you believe that love can go wrong?
Well, this topic really is kind of like a segue because remember the first session, our first session, we talked about authenticity
Yes.
and knowing what you want, knowing who you are.
Yes.
And if you don't know who you are, then the self that you portray is not your real self.
Wow.
So the partner that you have can't fulfill your real needs because you're not really exhibiting the real you.
Wow.
So when the question comes up about when love goes wrong,
When love goes wrong.
I'm not so sure that love does go wrong, number one.
Wow.
I think what happens is, after a period of time, usually it takes about a year, ego boundaries start snapping back into place.
Wow.
Because when you meet someone, the ego boundaries are just out there, and whatever they want, you want. And it's just about making sure you put your best face, best foot forward.
Okay.
And that's not necessarily being authentic, because we are dressing to impress. That's what that honeymoon phase is. But after a while, that plays out.
Okay.
And now you want other needs to be met. And so it might feel like or look like to the other person that love has gone wrong, but that's not what's happening really. What's happening is now the person really wants what they want.
Wow.
And they are no longer willing to do without it. And I think also we have to think about the fact that everyone has a different definition of what love is.
Bonnie, can we just pause there for a second? This is an excellent place to pause because I think it's Tina Turner, what love has to do, what love's got to do with it. But what is love? But what is love? Love may be something different for me than it is for you.
Absolutely.
So is there a general definition of love, or what is it? What is your take on that? What is love? Let's go back first.
Well, I think we could define it, and it has been defined, as something not so much about a feeling, but it's about the feeling that you end up experiencing based on how someone behaves.
Okay.
What determines for me whether I'm being loved or not is if the person is doing what I need for them to do, which demonstrates to me that they love me.
Okay.
For someone else, it might be something different.
Okay.
Depending upon how I was reared and socialized, I come with an idea of what love looks like.
Okay.
And that's why I like for people to create a mate list, because when I'm working with them clinically, I go through that list with them and I show them how it is so imprecise.
Wow.
People really don't know how to articulate specifics when it comes to what they want. So I would say, well, to a client, well, what constitutes love for you? Or what would your ideal mate be like or look like? Oh, I want somebody to love me unconditionally. Okay, fine. What does that look like?
Oh,
what behavior exhibits unconditional love?
Okay.
I want somebody that's going to be there for me, or just going to be there for me. Well, that's imprecise. What specific behavior does that person need to exhibit
Excellent.
to demonstrate to you
Excellent.
that they're there for you? I've had people say, well, I want someone that's a good lover. Okay, what does that mean? You know, what does that mean?
You're making it difficult for
Yeah.
people, Bonnie.
But I need for people to get clear
Okay.
because I want someone to love me the way I want to be loved. For example, that's how I determine
Okay.
whether I'm being loved or not.
Okay.
I want someone to love me the way I want to be loved. And it's up to me, though, to let them know what I need.
Okay.
And if I don't tell them, if I'm not aware of what it is, or if I have an idea that's not consistent with theirs, because everybody comes into the relationship with their own baggage,
Okay.
their own history,
Yes.
and their own real and unreal and unrealistic and realistic expectations.
Expectations. Okay.
So if you come into a relationship and your partner has one idea of what love looks like, and you have another,
Okay.
it might not work. Or at some point you might decide, well, this person doesn't really love me. I thought
Wow.
you did, but now when we first got together, and you hear this,
Yes.
when we first got together, you were this way and you were that way, and you did this for me, and we went out and we did these things. Now you come home, you get on the TV, you watch TV,
Wow.
you eat, you leave your shoes out here. That's you couldn't possibly love me, and the person's
Wow.
all confused.
Wow.
I come home every night. I'm here. I do whatever you ask me to do.
Okay.
You need to go someplace, I take you. If you need money, I'll give it to you. What do you mean I don't love you?
Wow.
And particularly when it comes to men and women,
Yes.
men's idea of love is very different from women's idea of love.
Okay.
Because men were socialized differently.
Mm.
Men were socialized for basically their needs to be met by women.
Okay.
Women aren't socialized to have their needs met by men. We are sort of socialized to not even expect that. So what we expect is concrete things like you're going to pay the rent.
Wow.
We're going to make sure there's food in the house.
Okay.
Make sure the kids have this, that, and the other. So
Okay.
demonstrative things like that
Okay.
is what women look for. But what people really want is intimacy. They want to be able to communicate effectively.
Okay.
They want you to show them that you care. But how can I show you that I care if I don't really know what's important to you? So I don't think love really goes wrong. I think love is for each person what it is.
What it is.
And
okay. And Bonnie, let me ask you, does it go back to what we said last week about the observation? We model what we see.
absolutely.
Okay.
I know
Okay.
what love looked like in my household
Okay.
was self-sacrifice.
Okay.
My mother was very self-sacrificing, and that's how she proved to us she loved us. She
Okay.
tolerated a lot
All
that
right.
she didn't like and didn't want to,
Okay.
but she did it because she loved us.
Okay.
My father would come home, and he thought that if he got paid and he brought his money home, then he could get dressed and go out Friday night and come back Sunday night.
Wow.
He'd be out
Okay.
hanging out with the men, gambling because he liked to gamble. So as far as he was concerned, he showed that he loved us. You got money for food, the rent's paid.
Okay.
What more do you want?
Exactly. Now, wait a minute. Before you go further, let me just pause here because this is a loaded segment right now. This is a loaded segment.
It can't be. It could
And we're getting into a lot of dynamics of things, and I need to catch you before you start to snowball and take me
be. Okay.
his way.
Let's do it.
What I want to know is if we just back up, we talked about observation, and we talked about the model, and we talked about what love going wrong, okay? And you said that love really doesn't go wrong. It's just that now we're really seeing the authentic person who they really were, but they didn't show it because they were saving face.
That
So
happens.
it was holding out.
That happens.
That's what it sounds like you're telling me, Bonnie.
People you're going to put your best foot forward when you meet someone.
Okay.
You want them to, you want to please them.
Yes.
And you try to figure out what you think it is that they want and they like.
Okay.
And sometimes you get it right. And sometimes people lead you on to believe that that's what they want.
Okay.
Because people, as I said, come into relationships with different motivations
Okay.
and different needs. if I marry you because you have an amazing job and make a lot of money, and I'm going to be able to live well. Well, when you work 23 hours a day and I'm not home when I want you to be, and I'm stuck here with the kids by myself, and I have to do all this stuff by myself,
Yes.
After a while, I'm going to say, you don't love me.
Wow.
And that's the stuff that affairs are built on. Because now you don't love me, you're not meeting my needs, and now there's someone else that is interested.
Come back
That's
in.
interesting.
Okay.
So that's another person
Come back
now.
in, Bonnie. Come right back in here.
It just takes me out, I'm
Take
telling
it
you.
out.
So
Come back
now this is the stuff that causes people to start looking elsewhere. Because the grass always looks greener on the other side of the fence. But the thing about it is, once you get over there, you discover this is astroturf. This is not even grass.
Whoa.
You know? So
And you have to mow that lawn as well.
yes, indeed. The wild weeds are going to grow, and you got to maintain that lawn just like you need to maintain this lawn. So what people will do is, if their needs are not being met, they will look outside the relationship to get them met. Because as far as they're concerned, the love has gone wrong.
The love is gone
Or the
wrong.
person doesn't love them anymore. Or you're not behaving the way you did when we first met. Well, it can't last like that. This is the honeymoon phase. There are different phases of relationships.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to save that for another
Yeah,
segment.
absolutely.
The phase.
But the point I'm making is that what it looked like in the first 6 weeks, it's not going to look like that 3 years down the road. Now, there are couples who meet, fall madly in love, satisfy each other's needs, and they die together doing just that.
Okay. That's right.
It doesn't mean that either one of them is perfect, but they learn how to live with each other's imperfections.
Okay.
And they get enough of their needs met so that love doesn't go wrong for them.
Excellent.
You see?
Excellent. And that's what I discovered when speaking to a number of the couples that have been together 40 plus years, which I am going to share that with people soon, really soon. I'm going to upload that and show them and share them with them the interviews, because that's exactly what they said that they did. They actually learned how to deal and how to live with one another's imperfections. Okay, so I'm glad that you brought that out. But one other thing before we conclude or go further, Bonnie, you said men and women have different needs and they're socialized differently to love. So when you hear that, when you hear someone say, what are you bringing to the table? Okay, that phrase. What are you bringing to the table? Is that more so that the woman is expecting them, as you said, to pay the rent, to pay the light, to pay the car note? What's really surrounding that? Because I think now, I believe men are asking, what is she bringing to the table as well?
Well, I think all of us have agendas.
Agenda setting. Okay.
We all have a backstory. Sometimes we don't even know what the backstory is. But somewhere inside of ourselves, we have an idea of what we want from this person.
Okay.
Because whatever attracted us to that person is we want some more of that. So if their education attracted us, or if their wallet attracted us, if their physique attracted us, if their attitude, their social being, you know, some people are very social. Whatever it was that attracted us to that person, we want some more of that.
Wow.
And if we don't get it, we begin to feel, as the kids say, some kind of way.
Okay.
But it turns out that we feel unloved. You don't love me anymore. You don't treat me the way you used to treat me. So, but if you loved me, you would do X, Y, and Z.
Wow.
So men, though, because they're socialized differently than we are, love for them means having certain needs taken care of that are usually needs that women have been socialized to mean this is women's work.
Okay.
So a woman can go to work, she comes home, she cleans, she cooks, she takes the laundry down, she picks up the kids. Now what does the husband do, or the partner do when he comes home? He doesn't think that he's expected to come home and wash dishes and clean and do laundry. Now I see men in my laundry room doing laundry with the kids, but it's not typically what men expect you to expect from them.
Okay.
And unfortunately, even though women want that, they somehow don't expect the men to do it. So they do it, but they don't really want to do it. But they think they need to do it because they still want to maintain the relationship. They want the checks to continue to come.
Okay.
They want their children's father to be in their lives.
Okay.
So all of this give and take and compromising or not goes on. And I think that the disappointment comes in when people had an expectation
Okay.
and it's not met.
And it's not met.
So then the disappointment sets in, and how people handle disappointment determines what happens to that relationship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Bonnie, I think that you said a whole lot today. When love goes wrong, but love really does not go wrong.
I don't think it does. Love is whatever you think it is.
Okay.
And it just means that what you think it is might not be consistent with what your partner thinks it is. But when you get together, you're going to behave as though your goals and objectives are the same.
Okay.
But after a while, that sort of wears out.
Yes.
And now you those boundaries snap back into place, and it's like, okay, this is what I want.
Wow.
You know, I don't want that, and I'm not getting enough of what I want. And that's happening on both ends.
Okay.
So sometimes people in the relationship, sometimes rather than end the relationship, depending upon their program, they'll cheat.
Wow.
They'll go outside the relationship to get those needs met, because some people think that that's okay to do. Well, if I'm not getting my needs met with you, and in this relationship, there's nothing you can say if I go outside the relationship and get those needs met.
Wow.
But typically, the problem with that is you don't usually tell the person, I'm going to have an affair.
Okay.
You have the affair and they find out. But you don't usually say, well, okay, this is not working for you, it's not working for me, so I'm gonna take a lover. I know someone that decided, you know, look, you're not meeting my needs, I'm going to get a lover.
Wow.
Yeah,
Someone,
and they did.
and they did.
They didn't, so they weren't really sneaking around. They announced that if things don't change, this is what I'm going to do.
This is what I'm going to do. So now, Bonnie, as we close this segment, and I want to close, I think it's unfortunately that we're going to close on that note.
We have another session.
We have another session.
Yeah, another segment.
I don't think it's a negative session that we're closing on, Bonnie, or a negative point. I think this segment right here is going to have to be continued. Okay.
But it's a conversation that I don't think we can have in a little nugget.
No, we can't.
We don't have a lot of time, but at least we've opened it up for conversation, and we've opened it up for our audience.
Yes.
Because now the audience has some thought about this conversation,
That's exactly
and have
right.
had experiences that are similar to what we're talking about, and some people might not feel comfortable sharing it, in public. But I'm sure people at home listening and thinking about and remembering. And feelings are coming up too for some people, I'm sure, because they've lived some of this stuff.
Yes.
And so I'm, like you, looking forward to getting people's feedback.
Yes.
We really want your feedback.
We want your feedback.
Your questions.
The questions.
And your commentary.
And your commentary.
We
We really do. And especially like I said, as we end on that note, we definitely want to hear from you. And because we would like to share, we won't use your name, you can remain anonymous, but we'll just say, for example, this is what transpired and how do you deal with this. So we're looking for this, what we're actually doing, Bonnie and I. We really want it to be, Miracle Month of May, the Miracle Month of May, where we really tackle a number of challenging things in relationships.
Yes.
Okay, and what is it that we can do to facilitate, correct, and help and maintain healthy relationships? So that's what Bonnie Harrison and I'm doing. So, audience, friends, family,
neighbors, allies, and people that we don't even know,
and people we don't even know.
Tune in, stay tuned in, and we want to communicate with you. We don't want to just sit here and have these living room conversations, and people don't interact with us. We want your interaction too.
We would like your interaction.
Because Valerie and I could have these conversations all day and all night.
All day, which we do sometimes.
We like. Yes, we do. We like to examine, life and how it impacts other people, but we need your feedback as well.
Exactly. And how can we help and assist you if at all possible? So until next Thursday, when we pick up on this segment, I guess next week we're going to talk about why men cheat or why women cheat, or how about the cracked door? I think I want to, Bonnie, go into the cracked door. So just because the door is cracked doesn't mean that you have to open it and go through it.
Absolutely.
And then do what you feel or you desire to do at the other person's expense.
Absolutely.
I think that's great, Bonnie. So until next week, we look forward to hearing from you. This is Bonnie Harrison,
Yes.
and I'm Dr. Valerie Small with a little bit of small advice, and we're both making things happen. Please tune in next week, and we look forward to speaking to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Until next week.
Until next week. Thanks, Bonnie.
I love these living room conversations.
So do I.
I do.
There's a healing
do.
process that's actually taking place as we're doing them, and we're going to look forward to our audience.
I'm excited. I'm really excited
really
because somebody out there is going to get a benefit from this living room conversation. I know it.
I believe it.
I know it.
I believe it too.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Until next week, have a great day.
Bye-bye.